Welcome to Spotlight Santa Monica. I'm Sandy Jacobson, and I know all your friends are envious because you live in this amazing city, and they should be. And I am going to introduce you to the people and departments that help make Santa Monica such a desirable place to live. Do you know who keeps the city's records organized, takes minutes at council meetings, or administers elections? It's the office of the city clerk. And joining me now is the city clerk, Sarah Gorman. Sarah, thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
How do you get to be a city clerk?
Well, you have to be someone who is very interested in democracy and who wants to help people get involved with their democracy. I got into it kind of a backwards way. I went to law school wanting to be involved in politics. I worked for an elections law firm for a while, then started working for cities, teaching members of their staffs how to better administer the Public Records Act in California, how to make sure that the state's conflict of interest laws were being followed. I started working with a lot of clerks, and I found this little job, and I started working in the clerk's office. It's fantastic.
You like it. I can tell. Look at the smile. In my intro, I mentioned some of your responsibilities. Tell us pretty much what the city clerk does for the city.
City clerk does a lot of neat things that are all related to process and transparency. So we run the elections for the city. We make sure that the city keeps its proper records. When the city passes an ordinance, we make sure that we hold onto it and we keep it in the secure vault. So if there's a fire, it's okay. Mm-hmm. When members of the public want to have records, they want to have old contracts or see old minutes, we get that for them. And I sit at city council meetings and take minutes, so there's official records of what happens. I also work with our city staff to make sure that we publish our agenda for each city council meeting. And that's a really large document of about 500 pages that we publish every 2 weeks.
Oh my God.
The week before the council meeting, and that lets members of the public know what's going to be on the upcoming council meeting so they can decide if they want to come and participate.
Well, we're going to talk about how you can participate. Let's talk about elections first, because that's where I'm usually involved. How do you decide who, you administer the elections. Mm-hmm. How do you decide who gets to run in the city?
Well, thankfully it's not me. There's a process that's set forward by law where if a person wants to run for city office, if they wish to run for city council, then they get a certain amount of nomination signatures. We make sure that those signatures are valid.
How many signatures do they need usually?
It varies depending on the office.
Uh-huh.
But they get the appropriate amount of signatures, they get certified, and then they can run.
And getting certified means what? Do they have to go to a notary or something like that?
No, but they have to have a certain amount of signatures by registered voters in the city of Santa Monica. And voters can only sign so many persons' petitions, essentially.
So you go over and make sure. Okay. So what offices are on the ballot every 2 years?
City council members for the city. We also administer the elections for the school board as well as the community college district and the rent control board.
And with the city council, you have 7 people. Mm-hmm. So how does they all run every single time?
No, it's 2-year terms. So you have 4, and then you have 3.
So 4 years. 4 people run, and then the next 2 years, 3 people run.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Why do you think a town of fewer than 90,000 people gets so many candidates every year?
Because we have a fantastic populace in Santa Monica. One of the wonderful things about the residents of the city of Santa Monica is that they really care about their local government. There's terrific voter turnout. There's terrific turnout at council meetings. People read the paper. They really care. And because you have a populace that is so interested, I think you have a lot of candidates to want to get out there and serve the public. It's a really wonderful thing.
And so often they'll have a cause. They'll get caught up in something, and as they start being interested in what their cause, they see all these other things are going on too. Let's talk about voter interest. And if somebody gets caught up in, they want to change a rule, or they want to see what the city council is doing about it, how do they communicate with the city council?
There's a lot of ways to do it. They can email the city council, they can call the city council, they could submit a written comment to the council, or they could come to a council meeting.
How do they know what's going to be? You mentioned a 500-page agenda.
It's great. It's great fun looking at this agenda, but I do love that. So we have council meetings every other Tuesday evening. And under the state's Open Meetings Act, which is called the Braun Act, we have to publish an agenda saying what's going to be on that meeting by essentially Saturday night beforehand. But we try in the city to get it out earlier, usually by the Thursday of the week beforehand.
And the city councils are on what night?
Tuesday.
Tuesday night.
So if you're interested in finding out what's coming up on an upcoming Tuesday meeting, by certainly by the Friday, those couple of days before, you can be able to look and see. It's on our city clerk website. smgov.net is a city website, and you can find the clerk from there. And we have both HTML and PDF copies of the agenda if people would like to look at it.
Now, is this that 500-page agenda you were talking about?
It is quite a task.
Outlined? I mean,
yes, you don't have to go through it page by page, but
good.
it's bookmarked, which is one of the things that I've learned how to do, is to bookmark PDFs. And we also have paper copies available at the meeting and at City Hall if people would like to come in, and in the library as well.
Well, let's go back a little bit. What if somebody's how does somebody get to watch? Now, this is a trick question, but how do people get to kind of tune in to a city council meeting?
Well, the very best way is, of course, to turn on City TV.
Right, of course.
Where we're simulcast. And of course, I keep trying to get my family to watch. I say, I know you miss me so much on alternate Tuesdays, and cousins around the country, I try to get them to watch, and nobody does, but they should. But they can watch on City TV. It's also, there's also a live stream on our city website, and it's also captured then if people wish to view it later on our website. And if they do view it later on the website, again, it's bookmarked, so you don't have to listen to the full 7 hours if you know you're looking for item number 5.
And they do go 7 hours sometimes.
Oh, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Let's talk a little bit about public records. What kind of things are public records that people would come to the city clerk's office for?
Lots of neat things. Old leases from 50 years ago, if the city was a part of it. Contracts, emails, old maps. One of the really neat parts of working in the city clerk's office is because Santa Monica has been a city for so long, we have some really neat treasures. We have some city resolutions back from the turn of the century. There's some neat old language, and there's some beautiful old maps. There's some really gorgeous stuff in our records.
And people can photocopy that or take a look at it?
Absolutely.
Well, in the less than a minute that we have left, what kind of innovations is your staff working on right now?
We're looking to modernize our agenda preparation process, that 500-page document that I've talked about. We're looking to implement software that will make it a lot easier for staff to make revisions, be sure what those revisions are, and get even cleaner and more informative version of those documents out to the public.
Sarah, thank you so much. This has been very informative. Thank you. And for more on the City Clerk's office, please visit smgov.net/department/clerk. Up next, we are talking fair housing, tenant harassment, and housing discrimination. Stay tuned.
Some problems are just too big to ignore. But don't take matters into your own hands. With the help of a mediator, you can find a solution. Mediators are volunteer professionals who can help you resolve issues without the high cost of legal fees.
Wonder if he's single.
Hey, I saw him first.
Call us or reach out on the web if you'd like to volunteer or donate.
Hey, slow down.
Right next to the library on 7th Street is the Santa Monica History Museum, where history comes to life for the entire family. Enjoy the exhibits, main gallery, the photo archive, research gallery, and much more. Come visit the Santa Monica History Museum, keeping history alive.
Do you know your rights when it comes to fair housing? Joining me now is Deputy City Attorney Gary Rhoades. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You are from the Fair Housing Division of Consumer Protection. So if somebody's having a problem with their landlord, Why would they call you instead of the Rent Control Board?
We handle housing discrimination cases and tenant harassment cases. So as opposed to the rent control team, they look at issues like whether your landlord has raised your rent too much, or is trying to evict you without just cause.
Just cause. Okay.
So our focus is on discrimination and harassment.
So what's the difference between fair housing and tenant harassment?
With fair housing is a term that the legislators used when they created the fair housing laws, but it's just another term for prohibiting housing discrimination. So fair housing it doesn't include all issues you think might be included for fairness. It's just whether or not you're being treated differently because of your race or your religion, your gender, or your disability. Okay. And there's other protected classes too, but those are the main.
And tenant harassment?
Tenant harassment refers to, and this is a law that Santa Monica itself passed as opposed to.
Oh, it's not all over the state?
Some cities have tenant harassment laws. We have one. The state and the federal law prohibit housing discrimination, but not tenant harassment like our city has focused on. And it is when it's to protect tenants whose landlords are trying to get them out of their unit using a variety of tactics like intimidation, refusing to make repairs, and even fraud, trying to trick them into leaving their unit so that they can raise the rent up to market rate or above.
So tell me, like a recent case you had, a typical case.
Well, on the fair housing side of things, we our top protected class that we see coming to us a lot is our disabled tenants and applicants, and they often need something else in place to make a unit more accessible to them, or even the application process more accessible to them.
So some accommodations.
Yeah, right. They're seeking reasonable accommodations. That's the term of art, or modifications. So the one very common one, of course, is a wheelchair user who needs a ramp to their unit, or they need the doorways widened so their wheelchair can get in. That would be a modification that they would have to work out. Accommodations to rules, the most common one you've probably heard about are the service animals and guide dogs, and also companion animals. Those are three types of pets or animals where if a tenant has a medical need for those, they get to come in despite any no pets rules in the building.
What's a companion? I have a companion animal. Does that count?
Well, it depends. If your doctor put that in a letter.
No, she's just a little West Highland Terrier, but so that wouldn't count, huh?
Right. Yeah, companion animals are when your doctor says that you need this animal for a disability, like an emotional or mental disability.
So what are the penalties if a landlord violates the tenant harassment laws?
For tenant harassment laws, our penalties include a $1,000 fine if we go the criminal route. And by the way, our tenant harassment law allows us to file these cases either in criminal court or civil court. In either one, the fine is at least $1,000, and then we can get injunctive relief against the landlord. We can get an order from the court to stop doing the behavior for a certain period of time, or permanently. And so the landlord suddenly has to change their practice.
Well, what if it's a disability thing? Then that would be different, it would seem to me.
That's under our fair housing laws. So there is a variety of penalties and remedies there. But the main one, again, is what's called the injunctive relief, getting the landlord to either stop what they're doing or do something different that's more accommodating to the tenant. For example, changing, allowing the animal to live with the tenant.
It seems hard to believe that even in Santa Monica that there would be discrimination against certain classes. We still get a large number of complaints, but they represent a very small minority of the housing situations. We like to say that we know that there are very
just a few very difficult landlords and just a few very difficult tenants, and it's too bad we can't put them all on an island together just off the coast of
Zanzibar.
and let them
Right.
make each other's lives miserable. And then there's a middle ground where a landlord comes into a new property and they don't understand the fair housing laws or the tenant harassment laws.
You mean
And
they just bought a property?
They just bought a property.
And no one alerted them to the situation?
No one alerted them to the situation, and they think it's our property. We can do whatever we want, and we either want this tenant to leave so that we can make this more financially feasible for us. And once they or their lawyers see the laws that apply, they will come back off their position.
Right.
And the vast majority of our cases resolve informally, by the way, with the help of our staff.
So how do you let people know what their rights are, both tenant and landlord? I mean, I would imagine landlords, do you ever find that the landlord shouldn't be expected to accommodate something?
Yeah, often we will investigate a case and we'll find that the landlord was right in their position. I would say probably more often than not that the tenant's accommodation should be granted. But we offer workshops for both sides of the equation, for tenants and landlords, so that they can learn their rights and their responsibilities. We do that every year, and we also have our website where we provide that information for folks that want to look it up. And then, of course, they can call us. Any landlord, manager, or tenant can call us and run a situation by us, and we can't give them legal advice, but we can explain the law to them and tell them.
Is that usually enough, just telling them? And then, I mean, I can see where it would be enough for the tenant, but does the landlord usually say, okay, that's the law, I guess I'll have to go with it? Are most people reasonable?
Well, if you gave me like a percentage question.
Okay, give me a percentage.
I would say like more than half the time, once we come in and explain the law, and we say we happen to agree with the tenant here, they deserve this accommodation, or you've somehow otherwise violated the law, they will agree and they'll stop. And so we don't have to go any further than that. It's probably a 10% of our cases where we actually have to go to court. And,
that's not too bad, is it?
No, it's not. We work most of the stuff out. They just have to call us and work with us, and we'll work with them.
Well, that's very nice. That's not adversarial at all.
Only when it has to be.
Only. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gary.
Sure, thanks.
For more information on fair housing, please visit smgov.net/CAO. Up next, we're taking the mystery out of what can and can't be recycled. Stay tuned.
Hey, Mom. Yes, I'm home. Saved you some dinner.
Plan now for a major earthquake. Contact the Santa Monica Office of Emergency Management. Don't be caught in the dark.
Hey, slow down!
Right next to the library on 7th Street is the Santa Monica History Museum, where history comes to life for the entire family. Enjoy the exhibits, main gallery, the photo archive, research gallery, and much more. Come visit the Santa Monica History Museum, keeping history alive.
Computers, batteries, dirty diapers. What can and can't be recycled? Joining me now is Resource Recovery and Recycling Manager Kim Braun. Kim, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Your title is a mouthful.
It sure is.
The 3 R's.
The 3 R's, that's what we are, R3.
What are we talking about in real numbers? How much trash does Santa Monica generate annually, and where does that trash go?
Last year we generated over 82,000 tons of trash in 1 year, and that's just the trash. So that's what we throw out in a landfill every single year. We have 3 different landfills in the LA County area that we use, and we also use 2 waste-to-energy facilities as well.
Waste, that's, you mean stuff that gets not burned. What happens to it?
It does get burned.
It does get
yes.
burned.
Yes, that's what the waste-to-energy facility does, and then they generate electricity to continue to operate.
Okay. So what does your division do for the residents and commercial businesses in Santa Monica?
We pick up all of the trash, the recycling, the green waste, and food waste for the city of Santa Monica, including all the businesses, all multifamily residences, and single-family residences. In addition, we do bulky item pickup, so that means if you have, you're cleaning out your house and you want to change your furniture, you can put it out in the alley and we'll come by and pick it up for you. We do pressure washing services, and we also do the motor street sweeping.
Okay, wait. Let's go to furniture, because that was one of my questions. So if I got a new sofa and they wouldn't take away my old one, I just put it out. Well, first of all, somebody's got to help me, but I just put it out in the alley?
You call us.
Oh, I have to call you first.
Schedule an appointment.
Okay.
And then we will tell you what day we'll come out, and there's a slight fee for the service.
Okay, well, let me ask you about a few other things, like my television. How about a cell phone? I mean, we're going through cell phones like crazy. Computers, I mentioned computers. What about those things?
They're all recyclable, and we have electronics, is what it's called, an electronics recycling program that the city sponsors. We do quarterly events, as well as you could take it any day of the week to our recycling center, which is located on Delaware Avenue in the city.
Is that where the big flag is?
Yes, right next to the big flag.
I've actually been there. We were doing a program about that. That's really interesting over there. So that doesn't just get thrown in the recycling bin. You take it somewhere.
You have to take it, correct.
Okay. Well, what's the green bin for?
The green bin is for all of your yard clippings, your flowers, and also now food scraps. And in addition to your food scraps, and that's all food scraps, you can put in your soiled napkins, cardboard from your pizza boxes.
Oh, so anything that has food on it.
Anything that has food on it, and it's compostable. So it'll eventually, it's what we call the wet waste. It'll eventually decompose and it becomes compost, and we have quarterly compost events in the city. And if you throw your materials in the green container, about 6 months later you can come to the city yards during one of our events and pick up as much as you can to take home with you to use in your garden to do it all over again.
I can get my trash back, huh?
You can.
I probably wouldn't
in a roundabout way.
Right. Mm-hmm. When you mentioned power washing, what is that?
Pressure washing services for sidewalks and streets. It's a contracted service through us in the city, and you can request the service. There is a fee for that, and we clean sidewalks. We do it for a lot of our business districts here in the city. Mm-hmm.
So contracting, you mean I would pay for it?
Yes, you would have to pay
for that
service.
Okay, well, that's fair. When I cleaned out my garage, I came across paint cans from rooms that have been painted 3 colors already, and aerosols and stuff like that. And I knew batteries. How about batteries? What do we do with that stuff?
Okay, we don't want you to put that in your black can because it is considered hazardous waste. So we really don't want that material going into the landfills. The city currently has a contract that will come to your house and collect the materials for you. What you would do is call special number, which is 1-800-HHW-PICKUP, PKUP, and they'll schedule an appointment and send you a kit. And when you get your kit, you would put those materials inside and put it out on your front step the day of collection, and someone would come by and take it away for you.
Now, the contracted, do you pay for that too?
No, that service is free of charge for our residents in the city.
I heard there was even a program to eliminate junk mail. How does that work?
Oh, yes. We love this program. It's called Catalog Choice, and it's a link on our webpage. So if you look on the city website and go to /R3, you'll find Catalog Choice. And you link to Catalog Choice, and they'll provide you with a list of all of the companies that they're in contact with. There's over 1,500 different types of catalogs and magazines and the phone book, actually. And if you no longer want some of these, you just check them off, and within a month, they'll no longer be delivered to your house.
Would be a miracle.
Oh, it's great. Currently, we have almost 3,000 of our residents in the city using the service.
That's 3,000 fewer people getting junk mail.
That's correct.
Lucky them. So if I'm being very industrious and I clean out a closet, I always donate the stuff that I'm not wearing anymore to, well, I usually go to Chrysalis, but there's a lot of good places to go. But sometimes the stuff is either stained or I know no one's really going to want it. What do I do with that stuff?
The city has just started with a company called US Again, and they provide us with textile drop-off bins. We're working on placing them throughout the city. Currently, we have 2, one at the Santa Monica City Yards and one at City Hall on the north side entrance of City Hall. You can take those materials there, including shoes. Please take linens, blankets, towels. They're looking for all that material as they take it back and recycle it into other things. Denim jeans are a great example here in the city of Santa Monica. Our Annenberg Beach House, the insulation in that beach house is all made from denim.
No.
Yes, it is. And then we have a trailer that we do public outreach with to teach the children all about recycling. We go to schools and food waste and organics. And the floor in that trailer right now that we take out with us is made from Nike sneakers.
How much fun is that?
It's fun. We love it.
So you don't. What do the people who take the old clothes? What do they actually do with the stuff? I mean, if they're not making sneakers and insulation.
The company itself, yeah, they have different processors, just like the recycling center that takes our cans and our glass and our metals. They, depending on the fabric, will put it out to different processors for final end product.
So when you get, sometimes you change work, or you come across a bunch of old checks and stuff like that, that you want to get rid of. How do you, I mean, you could have a little home shredder, but that would take you the rest of your natural life. What can you help me? How can you help me?
We have a great program, and it's our most popular for the city of Santa Monica residents. It's our paper shred event. We do it quarterly. The next one is November 23rd from 9 to 2 at the Santa Monica City Yards, and we have a company that comes with these large trucks with shredders inside. You can bring all your materials. We take up to 25 file-size boxes, and you can even watch it get shred right on site.
Thank you so much, Kim. Boy, this has really been helpful. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad.
And for more recycling tips, please go to the website on your screen. Thank you so much for joining us on Spotlight Santa Monica. Make sure to tune in next time as we learn more about the amazing programs and departments that make the city of Santa Monica such a desirable place to live.